Hello, everyone, and welcome to Late Night Unite. I am Kirk doobsnax Dubé, alongside, bringing with me special guest here, Overlord from Ascendance, peak NA player, peak number one NA player, top 10 globally, and just a top lane menace with Lucario. Happy to have you here. Hopefully you're doing all right tonight.
Yeah, doing just fine.
I'm glad you made a little bit of time to talk to me tonight. It is 11:30. It is a little late, but we're burning the midnight oil here. So before we get too far into the weeds, if you could just give yourself just the briefest of introductions. Don't give away the farm, because then I'll have nothing to talk to you about. But give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a competitive pro Unite player. I play top lane. I play for the team Ascendance. I've gone through a couple rosters, but Ascendance is definitely where I've had the most success so far.
Mm-hmm.
I've had multiple first place finishes in tourneys, and I've been, for the most part, like top 10 leaderboard since season 2.
Is season 2 where you really, we're just going to jump right into the questions because now that I've got them, is season 2 kind of when you get your peak NA rank number 1, top 10 globally? Was that kind of like your first bite at the apple, first big time success as a top laning Lucario?
Yeah, for sure. For throughout season 1, I wasn't too well known. I kind of had to like climb my way up through season 1, but at the end, I hit top 100, or I ended top 100 season 1, and then I made the goal for season 2 to try to hit rank 1 NA, which I did. So I was really proud of that. And then I ended up staying up there pretty much till the end of the season.
When you made that decision for season 2 and made that push, how much of that is actually solo queuing, if any, and how much is that is 5 stacking? And when you were 5 stacking, maybe we can throw a couple shout outs to the people that you're playing with to get you to that number 1 spot.
Yeah, so I think the only solo queue games I had were at the beginning of the season, from like when you start out at vet to get back to Masters.
Mm-hmm.
But once I had Masters, I focused mainly on 5 stacks, and I would 5 stack mainly with my team at the time, which was I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which today is IX. But I played with them and then some other high-level stacks to hit rank 1 NA. And then after that, I kind of started playing with whoever. I started playing with like floatstone stacks, with every other team. And then at the end of the season, I decided to really like buckle down and only really play with my team. But that's when I made that last push at the end, and I think I ended rank 8.
When you were bouncing around different teams, we're going to talk about how you landed on Ascendance in a bit here. But how did you feel? I guess it's a little bit easier for you maybe being that top laning character that, once the meta shifted to the 1-1-3, you were kind of doing your own thing for a good portion of the game anyways. So did you feel easily slotted into different rosters without much impact on what you had to do on a game-to-game basis?
Yeah, it was... It was a little bit different back then because this was like before Pup got nerfed originally. So the meta was still Pup, Bone Rush for Lucarios, but I was like, me and I think OG were like the two like only ESpeed players back then. But people didn't really know how to play too well around ESpeed, so it was a little bit of a struggle to find a team, but I ended up finding some decent chemistry with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I stayed for a little bit before moving on.
Very good. Okay, so I'm to rewind the clock a little bit, and this is my favorite question I've asked every guest that we've had on the show. Where does your gamer tag come from? Where does Overlord come from?
So, I think it's not based on the anime. I get a lot of questions about that, but this is like before the anime came out. But pretty much one of my closest IRL friends. I didn't really have a name back then. This is when I was like, playing the Nintendo games with them, like Pokemon X, Pokemon Diamond, all those good old games back then. But I didn't really have a name back then, and I think he came up with the name Overlord, and I ended up stealing it and using it for a lot of the games because he didn't use it anymore. But when it came to making my like PlayStation Network, which is where I originally started out before I moved to like PC and stuff, it was obviously taken, and so was like 1, 2, 3, which is like the common numbers after a name. So I decided I'm going to be edgy and do the opposite and do 098. So that's where the numbers came from.
Well, there you go. We're here. We're here as Overlord. I mean, I just love the stories. It's so interesting to see how people land on where they are. And sometimes it's like, I used the random name generator on Xbox Live when I was trying to play Halo 2 online, and ended up with Orange Octopus, and I've just been using that ever since or whatever, So it's fun to hear those stories, and even better for your friend that, you've donned the moniker and, of course, are doing increasingly well, at least in this scene for yourself. Real quick, you are on Ascendance now. We're going to talk about your path to Ascendance here in a bit, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about the Mount Moon tournament. You guys had a heck of a buzzsaw to get through to get to those grand finals and ultimately take down TTV in those finals. Tell me a little bit about how the flow of that tournament went, because you guys faced off against TTV, Aphelion. I think Gengar Goons was in there. I'm trying to take a quick look. I've pulled it up. Those are kind of the big ones that I've identified. FF, which is the NABMFB, if I'm not mistaken. So how did you guys feel, just kind of really just backs against the wall the whole time? No easy rounds, it seemed like.
Yeah, so I think it really came from, I think the first big team we versed was Aphelion, but we definitely got momentum from getting the 2-0 that series, but we were playing with like a new roster at the time. We had newly added Slashcan to our team as our defender, since Excellent is EU and we can't play with them anymore. And then we had our sub jungler Chaotic, who I think performed really well in that tournament. But once we got the first 2 wins on Aphelion, it was kind of like momentum based going into the games against FF. And of course, I guess FF was the team that originally a lot of people thought I was going to play for, but I decided to turn them down and end up sticking with Ascendance and playing with them. So, I had to win that game, or I had to win those series, or else that would have been awkward. But
you got that plot armor. You got that plot armor.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, going into those TTV games, it was we knew it was like kind of hard to explain, but like I guess it was like really momentum based. Like we were really hyped throughout the tournament. We made sure, like I think one of the tournaments in December, we had a really good run to the finals. We ended up 2-0 in TTV in the winners finals, but then losing to them in the bracket resets. But the biggest difference there is that we were actually playing the game, like not or staying warm, because after we were in the winners finals, we kind of sat there and didn't play any games for 2 hours, and then went straight into a best of 3 series against TTV, which I think is not the best. But we decided to do some like VOD reviews and some warm-up games before the series, and I think that definitely helped us in the series against TTV.
So Zoinks and I actually got to cast. Zoinks recorded, the finals, the grand finals, and we actually got to cast that up on the Unite Mike's YouTube channel. Quick plug, but man, we were really impressed with kind of everybody's play. Chaotic stepping in, I believe they filled in the role for Jungle Book. If I'm hoping that's a correct assessment.
Yeah, that's correct.
And then Slashcan stepped in, did great. I believe Mopwop is the other individual there. And Chaotic just on that Talonflame for those 3 games was a lot of fun to watch. We've been seeing a lot of Cinderace jungle lately, and it was nice to see the Talonflame come in, and they were just a force to be reckoned with. It was, I even mentioned in the stream, in the cast, it almost seemed like they were on a point and click mission. They would select somebody and they were just deleted from the planet as you guys just cruise through the squad. So it was a good look.
Yeah, for sure. This is like before I guess we picked up Chaotic as our sub, but we definitely saw potential in him. We definitely thought he was very underrated in the scene, because not a lot of people gave him, I guess, enough attention, or didn't think he was gonna, I guess, become too good. But he definitely proved himself this tourney for sure.
Now, is maybe this might be spilling a little bit too much news here, but is Chaotic going to be an alternate onto Ascendance moving forward, or are they just kind of a pocket pick? Hey, we need somebody, you fit into our mold very well.
Yeah, the most part, it's confirmed that he's going to be our sub.
Very good.
He's happy with the position, and we're happy. We're definitely happy to have him.
That's great news. It was just a fun player to watch, and of course yourself. And this is, I am ashamed to say that I only really got put onto the Overlord train a few weeks ago when I was casting an event, and you were just just cracked on the sticks, going absolutely nasty with the ESpeeds, just burning through everybody. The way you moved around the map was incredibly impressive. And I think it was when you were playing 4-1-2-3-4-5 was like the first time I really got to cast you and just like really just get hyped up on your style of play. So let's talk about how you got into Pokemon Unite and ultimately how you landed on Lucario. How did you end up on Pokemon Unite? Are you a MOBA fan and moved over, or did you just pick up the game upon its release and really had a knack for it?
Yeah, so for the most part, I played a decent amount of League of Legends in my past, but I never really went too serious with it in competitive. But I really only played Unite because a lot of my IRL friends wanted to play it at the time. But they ended up quitting after a week, but I still thought the game was really enjoyable. So that's when I ventured on into the Reddit chord stacks, where I eventually met some of my future teammates. And from there, I guess I just grew a reputation in the community and then moved on to some top level teams. And I guess now I'm here.
So it was I mean, you're certainly climbing, and nothing to scoff at for sure. But you are known for that Lucario. How did you land on that particular Pokemon, that particular champion? For yourself, obviously, you've developed immense skill with it.
So originally, I was like a Greninja lane one trick back in 2-2 meta. But once 1-1-3 came out, we didn't really have a Lucario playing our team. So I just said, like, screw it, I'll be the Lucario player. And I guess I just, like, naturally in, like, the first, like, couple games I was playing it, I was doing, like, really well compared to, like, some of the already known Lucarios. So I just ended up sticking with it because the team thought I was good with it. So I just played it, and just after repetition and more practice, I just got really good with it.
Well, it paid dividends for sure, and nothing like stepping into a role and just automatically finding the flow. Absolutely a blast to watch, as I mentioned. You're playing Lucario. Most impressive are the things that really made me pop off were your uses of ESpeed and how you moved around the map. We've seen a few players as of late kind of switch to that close combat, but you're still kind of on the ESpeed train. Is that game by game selection for you, or are you just, hey, ESpeed all the way?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm still ESpeed all the way. I think when it comes to which moveset you want to pick, I think it's definitely more of like a player's playstyle choice. I think both moves are very viable and both very good in this meta.
Does your team play around you normally selecting ESpeed? I know you mentioned before it's a little bit of chemistry you got to build, and certainly you seem to find it on Ascendance. Is that something that they actually play around you for that ability?
Yeah, it's a lot of chemistry when it comes between me and my jungler, mainly Jungle Book 1. But we're so used to me being on ESpeed that we built that like chemistry up with ESpeed when he ganks, and we'll always like win the 2v2 majority of the time top.
That's what I've seen. I've definitely seen you win more than I've seen you lose. That is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And again, a tip of the cap to Chaotic and how well they stepped into that role, because it looked like you two meshed seamlessly as well whenever they'd step out of that top lane. Let's hop back to, we're kind of jumping all over the map here, but I think we've got a good flow of conversation. You mentioned Ascendance and you turned down FF. You finally said, hey, Ascendance is where I want to be. Ascendance is my home. And that's, I don't know, was that before or after you kind of came to you being Ascendance came to the conclusion that there might be a region lock for Worlds, and Excellent might need to take, if I'm not mistaken, a coach role for Ascendance and kind of stepping back to kind of help guide the squad, the NA squad?
Yeah, so originally the play was to practice with FF's roster after region lock, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with Ascendance, whether Jungle Book was going to quit and focus on school, or if Curious was going to quit and play League of Legends. But after they decided they wanted to fully commit to a team, and then this is also like a big shout out to Slash. Slash definitely put a lot of work in to try to put this team together and stuff. But at the end of the day, I decided, I have more experience with this team. They're my homies. I've had good placements with them in the past, so I just decided to stick with what I know.
And tip of the cap to playing with friends too has got to be a little bit more fun. People playing with people people you've spent a lot more time with over the comms and playing in that way. And if you don't mind, just run me through the roster of Ascendance as it stands now.
Yeah, so obviously I'm the top laner for the team, but for our jungler we have Jungle Book 1, who is a fantastic jungle. I think probably the best jungler I've ever played with. He definitely understands the game very well, which I appreciate. As our sub jungler, I think we have Chaotic, who really impressed me with that tourney. Like I said, I think he had a really big performance there. Definitely a big part in us winning that tournament. As our defender, we have Slashcan, who will be taking over the role of previous tank, I guess, Excellent. But he's definitely very mechanical player when it comes to defender. He understands macro, which I think he's a really good pickup for this team. And then for our attacker, we are sticking with Curios, who was the same attacker from the old Ascendance. And then with our Eldegoss, we decided to stick with Mopwop, who is also the old Eldegoss for Ascendance. So not too much changed besides the defender, but
that is a solid squad. Now, if I may ask, I kind of assumed Excellent was stepping into more of a coaching or maybe an admin-esque role for Ascendance. Is that still true, or are they trying to find their home on an EU-based team for their region lock?
Yeah, so I haven't heard too much from Excellent yet, but he was definitely looking to maybe try out with a couple teams, but I think he ultimately decided that he wanted to maybe step back a little bit from the pro scene and just become a coach. I know he has a coach page on Metafy now, and then he's going to be the coach for our team, help us with VOD reviews and stuff, which would be really helpful for our team.
Look at you being the homie, shouting out the coaching page on Metafy.
Yeah.
There you go. Overlord, how do you feel once the announcement of Worlds was announced? The announcement of Worlds was announced. Once Worlds was announced and the region lock, I guess it hasn't been officially confirmed, but I think everybody's heart is pretty much set that that's what's going to happen. Is that something that you immediately said, like, yes, my goal is to make it to Worlds this year. I finally have, an eye on the prize, something at the end of the tunnel to work towards or strive towards? Or for you, was it just like, hey, that's just another tournament to check off the list along the way because I'm just having a good time grinding these events out?
Yeah, I think when I heard the Worlds announcement, I think I was definitely jumped on the boat of trying, like, yeah, that's really what I want to go for. It's the big goal for Unite. But I think the struggle was really up to, like, if my team wanted to commit to the same goal, because a lot of them were kind of iffy on if they wanted to continue playing professionally for Unite, because they had other things in life that school and other games. But they ultimately decided that they wanted to go for Worlds, and I think I'd like to join them along that journey.
You found yourself a good home, and like you said, what better than to do it with friends? The team looks solid. If you all do anything like the event Zoinks and I cast this past weekend, poised for greatness, you just got to keep the eye on the prize and keep striving forward. So what is next on the docket for Ascendance as a group, as you guys are trying to get to the World's qualification stage? Are you guys scrimming a lot against the other top teams? Is it your focus to jump in as many events as possible? Or is it kind of, playing the stealth game, kind of keeping your cards close to the chest, VOD reviews, and keeping your testing circle smaller?
So, yeah, there's been a little bit difficulty when it comes to scheduling our team practices, because a lot of our players are in college, and I'm still in high school personally. But definitely near the end of, like, spring, come summertime, are definitely going to be hard grinding again for probably when Worlds qualifiers, I imagine, is going to be around. But we're definitely still going to be participating, and I think there's a big rush tourney that's going on right now, kind of similar to Shiny League, where it's like a point-based system with the top 16 teams in a tourney. Mm-hmm. We're definitely going to still be competing in that, but for the most part, we're just, I guess, chilling out for now. Not too much grinding.
Yeah, if Worlds is like years past, it'll be sometime in middle of August. So that's kind of that summer range. So maybe your plate will be a little less full. So the focus can go to Pokemon Unite and what other priorities you might have. How is trying to balance full-time school and this Unite thing that you're obviously very good at and you're trying to pursue?
So it's definitely a lot easier for me because I'm a senior in high school, so I had the opportunity to only take 3 classes a semester. So I don't have like nearly as much work on my plate. And I can definitely devote a lot more time to obviously my job and then obviously Unite.
Good on you for holding a job, going to school, and grinding out Unite. It's very impressive. That's just a
Yeah.
lot of stuff for a young individual such as yourself. So, okay, let me ask you this: what does your circle of friends that stop playing the game think of kind of your, rocket to stardom almost in this game? How do they feel about that? They could have been there, but
Uh,
instead they quit after a week.
yeah, a lot of them, they're my good IRL friends, so I talk to them every day at school. But they definitely they're pretty supportive. They come into my stream every now and then to help support me, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for not wanting to try to play professionally because it's definitely a hard task to fulfill and not for everyone. But I appreciate them for supporting me.
Zugrug says they're your number one fan. So let the record show. TTV Zugrug is Overlord's number one fan. Taking a quick pause for the cause here. What would be your ideal scenario to qualify for Worlds? Would it be a win one event you're in? Would it be a grind fest? So, for example, like in the Pokemon TCG, you have to amass a certain amount of points over a certain amount of events, and once you reach that threshold, you're qualified. There's no cap on teams, but I think there is going to be a cap on teams for Worlds. So, how do you want to see that qualification structure pan out for yourself personally?
I think the ideal situation would probably be something similar to like league qualifiers, where they have a like top, I think like 8 or 16 teams, depending on how many uh, spots are going to be open for NA, and then those top teams, play in like a round robin kind of, and then there's like a big tourney at the end, and then like whoever has like the most round robin wins are going to be moving forward to Worlds.
So how do we determine the top 16? Is that based on maybe tournament results, like fan? I don't want to say fan vote, but community vote, or is it maybe win a I don't know, a qualifier of some sort, and then that puts you in the top 16?
Yeah, it would probably be more so like a qualifier.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Maybe a couple qualifiers, then you get the top whatever it is, 2 or 4 teams from each one to kind of make your round robin bracket, and then you kind of let people slug it out for however many spots you have. I think that sounds pretty fun to me, and that sounds like a really fun event to cast when you get the top 16 teams in NA duking it out.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be a fun tourney.
So, what's on the horizon for you personally on an individual basis? You're streaming, you're obviously going to school, you're trying to top lane for Ascendance and get those W's. But when you aren't scrimming with the team, are you always streaming, practicing? Do you have some other hobbies outside of the game that you focus on?
Uh, yeah, outside of streaming, I definitely do still play Unites with a lot of other groups and other friends in community because I think community is. I mean, it's not like it's a MOBA, so you can't expect like the most perfect place in the world. But I think for like a MOBA community, I like the people here. But outside of Unite, I mainly like grinding. Like I know a lot of people grinding, but the new game Lost Ark came out,
Mm-hmm.
a big MMO. It's definitely something I'm gonna be grinding a lot when not playing Unite.
Have you dipped your toes in it at all? How's it looking?
Uh, yeah, I've sunk in like a couple hours into it so far. I'm enjoying it, so I can't wait till I get to further end game and stuff. But it's definitely not gonna be like my top priority.
Maybe just a mind reset, kind of like a palate cleanser from all the uniting you're going to be doing, and
Yeah.
both between your team and your stream and things like that. Is that pretty much all your streaming is Pokemon Unite, or are you going to work in a little bit of Lost Ark as well?
I think for the most part, I'm gonna be focusing on only streaming Unite, and I think a lot of us as individuals on Ascendance are definitely thinking about starting to stream on Twitch and maybe starting to try to build up a YouTube following.
As individuals or like as Ascendants? I think I missed that part
I
of that.
think, yeah, as individuals.
Okay. Well, I mean, you certainly have a lane for content. You're such a strong presence in the one of the most underrepresented roles, which is somebody that is willing to carry that top lane responsibility, and you do it well. So, I mean, I know plenty of people that could use a little bit of coaching in how to approach the top lane. Me personally, in a non-competitive sense, I'm always 2-1-2ing. You can't send somebody alone up top. They're going down, guaranteed. Heck, when we send 2 up there, still getting taken out. So there's people out there that need coaching. I'm not going to say I'm one of them, but I'm one of them for sure. Is that something you're willing to do? Are you on Metafy? Are you coaching? Plug some stuff. Plug your Twitch. Plug anything you're doing.
Yeah, so for the most part, I try to stream every day. I'm trying to stream daily on my Twitch channel, which is, I guess, Overlord 98 TV. But I was thinking about setting up a Metafy page. I've gotten a lot of DMs and questions about it, but yeah, I think you have to be 18 to set up a Metafy page. Which I am not 18, so it's kind of like I don't really like. I guess I kind of like. Whenever somebody, like, if you want to go to my stream and ask me a question on like top lane, I'll definitely try to answer to the best of my ability.
I think I lost you there for a second. Hopefully you can hear me still.
Oh, yeah. Am I good?
Yep, you're good now.
There we go.
Zagrug again, just chiming in the chat. WTF, Overlord is a Zoomer. That's not fair. Yes. At first, I was mortified that 98 was going to be your birth year and make me feel like a fossil, but it turns out you're probably younger than that. So don't tell me. I don't want to do the math. I don't need that in my life. It's going to hurt my soul just too much. But Overlord, I appreciate you taking the time. We're already hitting 30 minutes, and this thing absolutely just whizzed by. But I want to make sure, I know you plugged your Twitch, you're kind of looking into coaching, however that looks. But plug or shout outs, anything you want, the floor is yours, whether that's Twitter, what have you, go for it.
Yeah. So I have a Twitch page and a Twitter page. They're all Overlord 98. We don't really have any Team Ascendance stuff set up yet, so can't really shout out anything for that. But those are the 2 main platforms I'm focusing on for right now. I might, in the future, try to make a YouTube channel, which will also be probably Overlord 98. So be sure to check that out in the future. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on your weekend or your win this past weekend with Ascendance. You're an absolute menace in the top lane and a very, very fun player to watch. So I'm looking forward to casting your events again and the matches you're in again, because it's an absolute ball. But I will say, on behalf of Overlord, Kirk, doobsnax, Dubé, on behalf of Unite Mics as well, this has been Late Night Unite. And we'll catch you next week. 11. Oh, actually, no. I almost bungled it, Overlord. You got me tripped up here. Next week, there is going to be no Late Night Unite. We're going to be back the following week. I'm off next week. I'm taking a little vacation with the family. But the following week, we will be back 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on that Tuesday. But that doesn't mean we won't have content. I know Zoinks is going to be doing Overdunk. He's going to be doing it this week. He's going to be doing it next week. And, of course, Zoinks and I believe Indie Bear are going to be covering the Jade Dude Invitational on the Unite Mics YouTube channel here on Thursday as well. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Mark it on your calendars. Write it down. Follow on Twitch. Follow on Twitter at Unite Mics. And, of course, finally, on behalf of both of us here, Late Night Unite is done for, and we will see you next time. Take it easy.